Normally when I make reviews for seasons of a show, I wait for the entire thing to be over, but the entire world's kind of talking about Stranger Things right now, so I thought, hey, you know what? There's 4 episodes out right now. There's going to be more coming about in about a month, so by then, all of the hype might be died down in the first little bit, so we're going to be making a review on the first 4 episodes of Stranger Things today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels, so I gotta say, guys, I've gone on record many times, depending on what channel you're coming from because, especially when the hype for Stranger Things was first coming out, I was constantly saying, I think this show's overrated. It's okay. I don't get the hype. I made a tier list for all the TV shows that I've ever seen, and I think that Stranger Things was somewhere around the B tier. I've never really been all that into it. I believe so far in this last season, they actually took a major step up. I was entertained pretty well from start to finish. There was a couple things here and there that I was a little bit bored of, but this is kind of the Stranger Things that I'm experiencing right now that the entire world has been hyped up about. I don't know. It just wasn't for me historically. I thought it was a good show. It was just not something that I really cared about. If my wife wasn't going crazy for Stranger Things waiting for it to come out, I wouldn't have bothered watching it, to be honest with you. I would have waited till the other thing was out, then I would have revisited it at some point. Regardless, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the entirety of the first 4 episodes of Stranger Things, anything that I liked, anything that I didn't like, and I'd love to know what you guys think about it down below afterwards. So, we start off with, I don't know how long it's been, but we start off with a little bit of a time skip. We get a little bit of a recap at the beginning. Of course, we don't need to go through the recap, but Hawkins is under strict big-time military control. They're looking for 11. My issue with this show is it's been so long that there were a couple things that I didn't really remember. I don't remember why, and I still don't remember why my wife didn't either, why the military was looking for 11. But either way, like I said, the military is on strict lockdown. Everybody's kind of laying low, and the main characters of the show are doing what the show ended up calling crawls, where whenever the military ends up getting deliveries because they have an entire base set up in the Upside Down, they're able to sneak in. They have their entire mission, and the season kind of kicks off pretty well when they're about to plan another crawl. So like I said, everyone's laying low except for Dustin, who, as his friend said, is going crazy. He's still pissed off about Eddie dying, and this, I don't know if it was really him being a little D-bag or if it was Eddie, but for whatever reason that pissed off some of the I guess you could call it sounds so cringe coming out of my mouth, but the jocks. You know how it's set, literally when that one bully came up to him in the locker, it was like a Disney villain, hey punk, what do you think you're doing? It's so cringe to me. And then Dustin has his little has to stand up moment. This is one thing that I didn't like about the show. They kind of went overboard with some things, oh yeah, as if someone like Dustin would have put up a fight. Nothing against Dustin, but just look at him. Usually he did end up taking a beating eventually, but he has to get his little moments against the bully. They make a big deal out of a bunch of nonsense. If you look a little bit too deep into it, but the problem is, maybe it's just my own problem because I'm seeing it. It's they had to make a big deal about Steve buying flowers. Those little things here and there. It's come on. Regardless, the entire show was still entertaining, don't get me wrong, and it only got better as we continue on. Anyways, they're planning a crawl. Dustin is, for whatever reason, just being a little D-bag to his friends, to everybody. So Dustin ends up getting beat up. I felt really bad for the snake, and he has to miss the crawl. But obviously with what they were setting up, they were doing all these things where it's oh, how are we ever going to find Vecna? We're supposed to find Vecna's hiding spot. What has this been? 45 crawls now, and not one single thing has happened. Obviously, something's about to happen within this next crawl. I thought a little bit of the writing was a little cringe, to be honest with you. You know how, they bounce ideas off of one another, and then all of a sudden they, figure things out, where it's I can't even repeat to you what they said, so it's going to sound even dumber coming out of my mouth. But it's I wonder what Vecna's doing. What if? Oh, hear me out. And it's those old science movies, where the smart nerd kind of figures everything out. It's not bad. It's just I thought it was overdone just a little bit. How they have the D&D figures too. I don't know. I thought it was a little bit strange. But anyways, they go in the crawl. 11 and Hopper are together. There's this big deal being made about Hopper, wanting to protect 11. I got a funny feeling at the end he's going to end up sacrificing himself for her. That seems right, especially at the end when he had, I don't recall what it was, but he had some explosives attached to himself. But I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Hopper ends up going by himself. And I forgot to mention that they're training 11 too. 11 is like getting even more super. She can do super jumps and all of that. But she ended up doing her training so well to the point where Hopper said that you can come with me if you do it in this amount of time. And then she did it in the amount of time. I thought it was so weird at the beginning too, where I was like, why do you care so much about half a second? Why? What's the big deal? But it was obviously because she wanted to go into the Upside Down. But Hopper is in there by himself. A Demogorgon attacks. And this is where I'm a little bit lost with the show because it's been so long and I should have watched a recap, but I didn't. I don't remember if this is a new thing or not, whether like Will getting those visions of actually he's being Vecna inside the Demogorgon. I could be having that part wrong, but regardless, if not, when he's looking into the kid's eyes, he's Vecna looking into the kid's eyes. So either way, he can see that what the Demogorgons are doing. So he's watching the attacks. He has all these visions. Again, the guy's kind of going crazy. And what he sees, Hopper barely survives, right? The Demogorgon attacked everybody in the Upside Down. But what Will then ends up seeing is the Demogorgon going into Holly's room. And I thought this thing, they did such a good job at actually making the Demogorgon. And there was actually a little bit of critiques on here. I might as well talk about those now. I get it. I understand the critiques. But when I think about a show with the Upside Down and such unrealistic things like a Demogorgon, it's fine, because I saw a lot of people talking about, and we'll get into the rest of the things. Sorry, I know I'm a little bit all over the place with this review today, where you have this creature, this fantasy creature who is not affected by bullets whatsoever, but a beer bottle. And then it's like, rah, you know? I think it's a little bit strange. How I was looking at it is, I see what Stranger Things is doing, and only crazy people would have an issue with this, by the way, where it's like, it's the same thing that they've been doing, man. You know, the idiot dad outside, and then the mom's the one that stands up. The dad refuses to protect the family, you know. It's like, you stay away from my daughter. By the way, both those parents needed to go. They're horrible to Holly after what we've seen with them doing. And I saw people talking about how long they were holding their breath underwater. I don't really think about it. Like, I'm just entertained by the creature that's in here. I'm not going to be looking for the show to be too realistic when you have something like a Demogorgon. And as if, like, these kids would ever be able to home alone a house later on in order to take care of a Demogorgon, you know? Anyways, it spawns in. I always thought the way that they spawn in are really cool. I don't remember the CGI being that good. Not that it was like anything absolutely insane, but I thought it was really cool the way they open up the portal, they tear through the ceiling. The actress for Holly is phenomenal. She is so good at like actually looking like she is completely fearful. But she ends up just flat out getting taken after the mom has a stand up. I was watching that dude and I was like, there's no way right now. There's no way she's about to kill this Demogorgon. But then she ended up getting slashed. The dad ended up getting slashed. Nancy's too late. Everybody's too late. The Demogorgon ends up eventually getting Holly and bringing her back into the Upside Down. 11 also follows through a gate, reunites with Hopper, and Hopper's all pissed off that 11 is there. But then they see this big giant wall. And we'll talk a little bit more about the wall because obviously we do know what the wall is. But for now, that whole scene was very cool in my opinion. But now for this next part, it almost seems like it is weird, okay? It is weird, but I'm sure that as the series concludes, we'll have an answer to this. We have the entirety of Mr. Whatsit. We have Henry. We have Vecna. And we kind of like spend this entire time figuring out exactly what Vecna's doing to people. He's invading the minds of children. He's convincing them that monsters are going to get them. So he takes them into their own world, which is just behind that wall. And they're in like a happy house where Mr. Whatsit's really nice to them. I don't know why he wants to target just children. I don't know what his plan is. I know at the end he said something along the lines of like, because they're impressionable. Is he trying to like rebuild a world in the way that he wants it? I don't know. So a bunch of creepy things happen. They end up investigating. The mom is barely surviving, which is crazy that she did survive. She did end up surviving. They end up reuniting with Dustin, and Dustin, kind of funny. I don't know, man. If you got jumped, just say you got jumped. Yeah, I was in a bike accident. And he's like, his face is completely 100% mangled. Yeah. And then you have that other thing too, where you have Dustin, Steve, and Jonathan in a car together. I don't know if I'm alone in thinking this, to be honest with you. My wife thought it was funny. I didn't find the banter between Steve and Dustin funny. I didn't find the banter between Steve and Jonathan funny. You know, the same thing. All you could think about is buying her flowers. Like, I get it. I get it, Stranger Things. Thank you. They're competing for Nancy's attention. And, dude, I haven't made a review for the for any Stranger Things seasons before. I don't know why any of them would ever want Nancy, but I guess that's a conversation for another time. Someone that was really good in this season, in my opinion, was Robin. She was actually funny. Dude, her actor also stood out to me. She's very charismatic. Her timing is funny. Like, I like what she does. And I wish I could remember what it was when she was talking to Joyce after she ended up taking out Will. She said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, my mom always said my tone is, she said something, but I don't remember what that was. And I was like, like, it was pretty good. I thought that she stood out a little bit. But anyways, the reason I end up bringing up Robin is because Robin's the one who kind of figures out Will's telepathic link that he has to Vecna. So as Will kind of accepts like his power a little bit more, he figures out that he can actually see through the eyes of Vecna. And the next target is going to be Derek. Derek, dude, he was the star of season 5 of Stranger Things. He consistently made my wife and I laugh. Like, he's just this little dude. He reminds me of Eric Cartman. That's what it is, where you're supposed to be seeing something like so creepy, like Vecna's invading someone's mind. And then it's just this little boy going, yeah, suck a fat one. Like, he's just, I don't know if he was a bully or if nobody liked him or both, but everybody, they ended up calling him Dipshit Derek or something like that. Yeah, Holly was all disappointed Mr. Whatsit was going to bring him next. But anyways, Derek's a new target. And I actually like the way they ended up turning that, because you have Holly, who's this like scared little girl, and she's, you know, she did what she did. She got kidnapped. It was a very cool to watch. And then you have Derek, who is such like a problematic kid, and you can see that coming. And obviously we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But in the meantime, they get Lucas's sister to make up with her friend, and it was okay. I didn't really like Erica too much as a character. She's funny here and there, but I think that she overdoes it, to be honest. I thought, like, you know, at some point she could be a little bit serious. So they actually end up drugging and kidnapping that entire family, because of course the Demogorgon is going to invade that house next, because they figured out that if they end up just drugging the family, they talked about having enough things to knock out an elephant, I guess. If they knocked them out, then Vecna would just assume they're asleep and attack anyways. And that's exactly what happened. They home alone to the house. I thought it was a little bit, dude, I thought like when that Demogorgon first showed up, and then I don't remember what kid he was chasing, but the kid that he was chasing jumped over that little piece of wire. I thought we were about to see the Demogorgon trip over that piece of wire, and then they would like dogpile it or something. Regardless, they ended up getting it. It ended up spawning into the house. They end up making it go away. They made it fall into the barbed wire. They lit it on fire somehow, but that's escaping my mind. But again, every time the Demogorgon ended up actually showing up, I thought it was pretty well done. I was like, oh my god, all right, it's here. The actors are good. I enjoyed it, man. So it goes away, but it's not over yet. But before we actually go back to what's happening, we have 2 other scenes where we're back with Eleven and Hopper. They end up getting ambushed by the military. They end up killing everybody. And also, there's this machine that they have. I don't know if it's sound frequencies or whatever. Whatever it is, it makes Eleven go nuts. So Hopper kind of had to take everything into his own hands. It was a cool scene. I've always really liked like the scenery of the Upside Down. I thought it was pretty cool. They left one dude alive, and then after interrogating him, and actually that's a good, the way they did that's pretty cool too. I always like how like everything gets black, and then you can just see Eleven being like all sick going into the minds of her victims, I guess. I thought she was about to kill that dude, but they figure out that Dr. K is holding Vecna inside the lab. I actually don't know if that's what they were doing, or if it's because they made such chaos there that Vecna ended up escaping. Maybe we're not supposed to know it. Maybe there's actually something else hidden behind there, because they talked about kryptonite too. That left me a little bit confused. We also have that entire scene with Holly at the house, at Vecna's house, or Mr. Whatsit's being all nice to her. Even the same thing. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go get your friend Derek next. Derek, dipshit Derek, or whatever they ended up calling him. Oh yeah, because it was dipshit Derek, and then Joyce ended up talking to him. He's like, you're not dipshit Derek, you're delightful Derek. He made me laugh so much throughout that entire thing. That actor's also very good. Sorry, delightful Derek. He ended up being like, I guess a little bit of a delight by the end, but sorry. Mr. Watson said, all right, if he misbehaves and bullies you in any way, I'm going to tell him he can go fight those monsters on his own. So he instructs Holly to, under no circumstance, go out into the woods alone. To be honest with you, obviously she's going to go out wandering into the woods. I think it's a little crazy that Vecna can't also see what's going on in his own, I guess, mind place, whatever the trap is. He's like an interdimensional being. He can't just spy on her with whatever he's doing. But anyways, she ends up going out into the forest because apparently Henry needed help, and it's Max. For whatever reason, okay? And you know what? I might as well talk about this now. We're jumping the gun a little bit. We have this whole scene with Max, and I thought it was actually really well done with the way that she was listening to the music and then getting out of there, and then the music stopped, which would explain why when Lucas was talking to her, you saw the monitor kind of change a little bit. I thought that was a very nice touch, and then we actually got an explanation for that, and she was so close, but she didn't actually end up escaping. So Vecna was chasing her. It was still very good there, but for whatever reason, he won't go in the rocks. It was trapped with some memory that he just won't explore. Again, I think it's a little bit plot armory. You have Vecna, who's this like majorly powerful guy, yet he just won't go into this like one little rock in his own mind. I'm sure whatever it is, you can conquer it if you're looking to kill somebody that's invading your mind. So she's in there too. She actually ends up convincing Holly. And this is where I was a little bit confused too, because I thought Holly was supposed to be like 10. She looks very young, but then when she was talking to Max, she was having a little bit of a, not quite a mature conversation, but a more mature conversation than like an 8 or 10-year-old would have. So that left me a little bit confused too, because she's no longer this like, mom, help me, little girl, you know? But anyways, Max is alive. To be honest with you, I never really cared for Max, so it wasn't like this big like, oh, hell yeah, Max is here. By the way, I'm an idiot. I forgot completely, and I just remembered as we were continuing through this story, because I was going to talk about the break into the lab. We did find out who's being captive, and it wasn't Vecna. Sorry about that. But anyways, I might as well talk about that now, too. I'm sorry, I might be jumping the gun a little bit with, like, the time length of things, but we have Hopper and 11 who continue their mission. They actually end up breaking into the military base. And there's not much else to break down about that, to be honest with you. It was pretty cool. 11 ended up timing the lightning. You know what bothered me a little bit is she's like, every 7 seconds. It might not have been 7 seconds, but she's like, after so much time, the lightning strikes. I go, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The lightning just like never came again. And it didn't happen throughout that entire show. And then every time we were in the Upside Down, I was thinking like, lightning's still not striking. It does here and there. It's just, they picked it. And I don't know why I ended up doing that. So she ends up breaking into the base. 11's pretty cool. She's using her powers. There's not much else to break down about that. I thought it was cool. Her and Hopper going in. They actually had like a really, really emotional moment where they thought they were about to face Vecna. Hopper has the explosive attached to himself. And I thought that he was giving the speech to 11 like he was actually about to die. That was very tense. Very cool. I loved how loud it was in there, and they were yelling at each other. As Hopper's going in, you can still hear 11 yelling. Every bit of that, I thought, was extremely well done. And what I thought was they were obviously going to get in there to go see Vecna. And I don't know why when I was talking about this, I forgot about this. And it's been so long that I forgot the girl's name. You have the other surviving testing subject that was placed in there. I don't know what they're going to plan on doing with her. They're probably going to have her and 11 come together to defeat Vecna with, like, you know, the power of doubles or something like that. Not sure. But it's not Vecna. They figured out what it was. We circle back over into the real world, and Derek wakes up. And he's making this big fuss, right? He's like, oh my god, you're a kidnapper. Understandably so, by the way. I get the freak out. And dude, I think we all knew from the second that Josie's like, okay, I'm going to untie you. You promise to come with us? He's like, You're like, this kid's not cooperating. You need to tie him up, and you need to drag him by his toes. And somehow he climbed up a little ladder. He's punching people, and he's stuck at, like, the top of a barn, just yelling at them. But then the Demogorgon attacks. And you know what I liked about this? They did a very good job at, like, being serious when it needed to be serious and making us laugh when it's time to make us laugh. They separated it. We didn't have Derek making us laugh while the Demogorgon was attacking. Derek was understandably, and he should have been, terrified. Not enough shows do that, to be honest with you. But the Demogorgon's attacking. They get the tracker and the Demogorgon, and Jonathan happens to... Steve was driving, Jonathan, one of the two were driving. They ended up knocking the Demogorgon with the car back into the Upside Down, and then they drive right through into the Upside Down. So we have more people in the Upside Down right now, and the Demogorgon is gone for now, I guess you could say. I also thought it was kind of funny, and I don't know why you wouldn't be more careful with everybody arguing through the entire thing. You're driving in this complete other dimension with actual monsters trying to kill you, and you're just arguing with each other. You crash a car into the wall. But then the problem is the visual, with the car crash into the wall. That was pretty funny too. So they're in the Upside Down as well. And in response to the attacks of the Demogorgon, the military decided to take all of the kids. As if, like, dude, I would never in a million years give... The problem is, what are you going to do about it, right? This isn't a movie. I'd be like, what, as if in a million years I'm ever going to give up my daughter. I'd have to run. I'd have to run away. I wouldn't, like, be able to live anywhere. I would have to be on the go, because I would never in a million years give up my daughter to anybody. But they thought the great idea, because Vecna was trying to get kids, let's bring them all together in one nice spot, as if the military can do anything about it, and as if the military has been shown to do anything about it. So the kids have been using the tunnels, and I should have talked about this right at the beginning because I said kids. It's so stupid. It's so weird that they are all adults now. I can't get over it. Like them riding their little bicycles. I can't get over it. I'm sorry. It's been too long. It's too weird. But they're lucky that the show's really good. And they're lucky they had the bike riding to a minimum. Because, like, realistically, they should be the little kids. What are they doing saving kids? They're kids. How long has this show taken? Like, how long has it been since the show started? Like, in, like, the actual time length of the show? What's it been? A couple years, maybe? But anyways, they end up using the tunnels. They want to go get all the kids. Derek's on this special mission, and Derek was telling all the kids about, like, looking for Mr. What's-It. Some people think that, like, Derek has gone nuts. And then Derek ended up becoming this, like, meditation group leader. And he's still being a little piece of crap, like, whacking people on the head with a ruler. Everything that Derek was a part of, I loved. But they ended up getting caught. And some of them ended up getting taken in by the military. But while they're getting taken in by the military, we see the big attack. Vecna breaks out. The Demogorgons break out. And I saw a lot on this that the Duffer Brothers, I believe, that created Stranger Things, whatever the brothers were, whoever created Stranger Things was inspired by Rogue One, Darth Vader. I get it. I get where that's coming from. And I'm glad that it wasn't like a one-for-one copy. I thought Vecna coming out was pretty good, to be honest. The Demogorgons attacking were crazy. I don't know why people still shoot them. Obviously, fireworks. What's the point? We're like, unload, unload. And then they're just like, nothing's happening to it. And this is where I kind of understand the critiques. Because they're just walking through all of these bullets. But yeah, the mom protecting her family with a beer bottle. Let's go. You know? It's just a little crazy. I thought we were about to see that with Joyce too. Because Joyce was like, you stay away from my son. Thankfully, he just like got her out of the way. I did not like... They were going a little bit overboard with that type of stuff, you know? But the attack was fun. The chase was fun. Dvecna ends up coming out. Dvecna looks thinner. I like his new design. But the music's on point. The horror's on point. Like, dude, they did not hold back too. You know how like Dvecna was like, took his fingers and like jammed them all through the back of the one guy's head too? Like, they did a very, very good job with that. But then he comes out and talks to Will. And he kind of just explains to Will a little bit about what's going on. I don't know what the purpose of that was, and I don't know why he won't kill Will. Maybe it's kind of like a Harry Potter situation where they're attached together now. But Dvecna kind of just takes off, I think. Like, yeah, he doesn't say anything else. He comes in, he kills people, and goes, "Oh, William," and then, like, leaves. It was cool, but why? Some people were talking about Dvecna being overconfident. I don't know. I'm sure we'll have an explanation by the time it concludes because they did a good job this season with even explaining a lot. But then Will is the guy who ends up having powers just like 11. I guess he has powers like Dvecna because he's connected to Dvecna. He stops all the attacks from the Demogorgon and kills them just as Dvecna would. And that's kind of the cliffhanger that we're left off with. His eyes roll back into his head, they turn white, and Will wipes the blood away from his nose like 11 does. I thought all 4 of these episodes were great. There was very little of it. Yeah, very, very little of it where I did not want to, like, pay attention to what's going on. Like, I ended up going to the kitchen to get a couple things, and I found myself actually, like, really, really paying attention to what's going on. I thought this was a major step up in comparison to what Stranger Things has put out before. And don't get me wrong with what I was saying at the beginning of this. I have always liked Stranger Things. I just don't see it as nearly one of the best shows. And you know what? It still isn't nearly one of the best shows, in my opinion. I get that I'm pretty well alone in thinking that. There's shows out there that are better written, better acted, everything than Stranger Things, in my opinion. But this was a step up. They're delivering on the hype. I don't know why it took so long, because it's weird to look at the kids right now. I am interested in what's going on. I hate this cliffhanger that we're left off on, but we'll be here. We'll be talking about the next episodes to come. And if you guys want to watch that tier list that I was talking about, where I ranked every show that I've ever watched, you can check it out right here. I'd love to have you over there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care, everybody.